Are you a fan of Spartacus and werewolves? Then you're not going to want to miss First Kings, the next RPG coming from Epic Party Games, which is now on Kickstarter. Today, I'm talking with Max Castellani about First Kings, the upcoming RPG from Epic Party Games. Max, thanks so much for coming on and chatting with me for a little bit today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about who you are and what Epic Party Games is?
Thank you very much, Doc, for having me here as almost 1 year ago for Shadow Tower, the other game that yeah. And my name is Max, as Doug said, and I am one of the founders of Epic Party Games, which is a publishing company that wants to put out some awesome RPGs. That's what we are trying to do, what we're trying to achieve. And we started out last year with Shadow Tower that we are producing. So to give it to the backers at least this summer probably. But we are already launching a new Kickstarter campaign for a new game that's called First Kings. And it's a totally different game. And we are happy to be here and talk about it. We started working on First Kings last summer. We were actually working on Shadow Tower, me and Andrea. He was the name on the Kickstarter page. It was the main author for Shadow Tower. We were working on the project, and then Matteo Sanfilippo, who he's a cook in his day life, but he also had this amazing idea for a game that mixed up history, the Roman history, some fantasy and horrors, and we liked it so much that basically me and Andrea, we were like, okay, we like it, but we're working on this other project, so what we're gonna do, we're taking it. We have to, because if it's not us, it will be somebody else, and we want it to be our second project, because we're starting off and we need good things to put out to make a brand, basically. And so we started working at the same time with Shadow Tower and this one, and we helped out the main author, the creator, and we actually became co-authors of the project of the game.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And yeah, we developed together the game system, and we worked a bit on the setting, even though the setting was mostly already made up by Matteo, and it's an amazing setting. That's nice. It's the things that you want to be huge in a game: the setting and the system.
Right.
In this game, they are really they go together so good that it looks really outstanding. It's so cool. I can't wait to let you have a look at it.
I'm really excited, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do an actual play on the show here at some point during the campaign. So if anybody would like to see First Kings in action, I'm going to tell you to hit the little subscribe button down there and hit the little button, the little bell, and you'll get notified whenever we go live. And we're going to hopefully have an actual play session on the show during the Kickstarter, which I'm really excited about. And I know a few of the contributors are really excited. I've shown them the art of this game, and they're really drawn to this setting. So let's talk a little bit about the setting. What is the setting all about? We kind of teased it a little bit at the intro. It has something to do with like the Roman gods and Roman Empire. And tell us a little bit about. You know more about it than I do, so I'll let you kind of dive into it.
Yeah. I think I may have a good idea of the game, probably. So. Yeah, it's basically we are revisiting the Roman history with putting inside history a uchronia, which is a way to modify the actual history of something with a particular thing that kind of changes the whole thing. in a fantasy way, in a fantastic way, in a hypothetical way.
Okay.
So we are the first thing that we have to specify about First Kings is that we are not talking about the Rome that we are kind of used to when we think of the Gladiator with Russell Crowe, or even Spartacus that you
Yeah.
you you talked about before. It's aesthetically, it's pretty much what we want for the game. The blood and the roughness of
Sure.
the
Okay.
game is pretty well um, represented by Spartacus. But we are way before that time in the game. We
Oh,
are
okay.
at the very beginning of Rome. So when Rome was just a small town founded by Romulus, which is I don't know if you are familiar, here in Italy, we are
Mm-hmm.
pretty familiar with the legend of Romulus and Remus, because
Right.
it's
Right.
our history. So it's probably as you can probably talk about the um, secessions wars or something like that,
Yeah. I,
probably, or
I,
the independence from the English and something like that.
right. Right.
We are basically imagining that the legend tells that the god Mars came down to Earth and basically took a Rhea Silva, a vestal of the goddess Vesta, so a priestess of the goddess of the Romans, of the early Romans, and basically took her against their will, because that's what gods used to do in those times. As they were bad people, if you want to call them people, and so this woman, which was supposed to be a virgin, was not virgin anymore and was carrying two babies. So basically, the king, the king of the time, wanted to get rid of the babies, but knowing that they might have been sons of Mars, they couldn't just kill them.
Sure.
It was because if there are sons of a god, probably there's something to do with them, but they don't. They didn't want to have to do nothing to do with them. So they just put them in the river. They went along with the river, and they got caught by a she wolf that, instead of eating them, she fed them and she nursed them. And so they survived and they became adults. And basically, the legend tells that one of the two, Romulus, became king by killing the twin brother Remus, and founded Rome. So there's, of course, even in the actual legend, there's gods coming and going. There is some supernatural stuff going on, but
Sure.
we decided to go. Matteo had this idea of saying, okay, so they are sons of a god, so they are, they have a strength and a resistance, and they are faster than any other human, and they're superhumans. You know, and then they were fed by a she-wolf that in the legend is the god Lupercus, which is a hunting god of the forest that
Okay.
sometimes take the appearance of a wolf. So why don't making them the first werewolves ever existed in human history, no? And so you got the two brothers giving life to descendants of werewolves in Rome. And we are basically, there was Remus that wanted to act like a savage. He wanted to be, our history says that Remus was kind of the evil of the two, but he really just wanted to be just what he was. Basically, he was like, I am son of a god, and I am capable of becoming a werewolf. I am stronger than anybody else on here, and why should I want to go along with humans?
Right.
That they're not my people, they're not my kind.
Sure.
I belong to the forest, and they're just a prey like any other prey.
Right, right.
While on the other side, Romulus wanted to be the best human he could be. He was like, we have these powers, we have these capabilities, so to defend the humans from all the terrible things that are out there. Because in the game, which is a dark fantasy game, there are giants and demons and horrible creatures of all kinds. So Romulus was like, okay, we've got this strength. We can protect and defend the humans. We have to build a city for them. We have to be what they cannot be, basically. While
Sure.
the other one, so they kind of a conflict. They were in conflict at a certain
Sure,
point,
sure. So
and yeah, and so they fought, and Romulus killed his brother Remus, and became king of Rome and founded the city. And when it was the time to leave the city to his children, to his sons and daughters, he had this idea of not letting anybody, not letting any of them be a king, because he said to them that Romulus said to his children, being a king made me kill my brother, so I don't want any of you to have this burden on me.
Sure.
So
Okay.
and he said, you will have to be king between people, king without a crown, and you
Right.
have to protect the city, etc., etc. And he founded the Cerberus Legion. Cerberus was a mythological entity, and wolf with three-headed
Okay.
wolf,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and he was standing right before hell, and he was judging basically the souls of the dead. And so that's where the game began. The game begins here with playing the descendants of Romulus that have to defend Rome from all the ugly things that we said before, but mostly from the sons and daughters of Remus and the descendants of Remus, that they just want revenge and the blood
Sure.
of the Romans rolling down the
Yeah.
Roman hills.
Yeah,
So that's the input of
I love it. I love the setting. It's just I don't really know of any RPGs that have that setting, which is awesome. And I always
that
love when
that's
folks
what
come up
we
with
thought.
something fresh like that.
Exactly. That's what we thought. When it's really something that came up so clear. As soon as we listened to the story, we were like, okay, and it was a moment that there were a couple of Roman based RPGs going on Kickstarter, and
Hmm.
one of them made even a pretty huge success with like more than 100,000 euros. But we were like, okay, that's cool, but that's not the same thing. We're not
Right.
talking about the same
Uh,
thing, and the system is a whole other thing.
yeah, I mean, at least it shows you that there's an audience for this type of game.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
that's the main thing. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the system.
So it is actually one of the strongest point of the game, probably, if you're a fan of mechanics that are built right for the game they are built into. So we are kind of, even with Shattered Tower, we sort of um, thought about a mechanic system that worked for the game. And it's there's no right or wrong in these things. You can take a setting and play it with the D&D rules or whatever you like. It's
Sure.
it's not we're not talking about what's right and what's wrong, but when you have a system that really goes along with the setting and incorporates some of the aesthetics of the setting, of course, it's kind of more intriguing, as you said.
Absolutely.
And here we have a two kind. We have, so let's just say it. We have numerology involved. We have lunar phases. We have the zodiac. We have a high um, that's very important to interpretate and role play in the game, because
Okay.
what you are going to describe about your action is what actually um, goes to activate the system. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
going to see it. So the lunar phases in numerology are kind of bonded with the character creation phase, because we have the numerology that basically tells you what are the special capabilities of your players, of your characters. Sorry. So you just set a date of birth, which it's almost an off game, because you can put your date of birth. For my first
Sure.
character, I put my date of birth, and then you add one number to the other, and you end up with a result, which is your guide number. And the guide number on a list that tells you what are your special capabilities. Then the lunar phase just tells you what kind of Romulus are you, because the the characters are all named Romuli after Romulus, and
Sure.
the singular one is Romulus as the first king. And you can be four kind of. It's basically the classes. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So if your character is born under a full moon, you are called a lupus rex. So in Latin is the king wolf. Okay, and you are the most powerful of the four in terms of strength and combat or something like that, because you are capable of becoming a werewolf.
Okay.
If you are born under a half moon, so half empty and half full, you are called a lupus, so a wolf, and you
Hmm.
can obviously change your form into the form of a wolf, so the animal.
Sure.
Um, then you can be a falx, which is the one you have to excuse me, but I don't remember how you say when you have the moon waxing, and
Oh, the waxing moon. Yeah.
or the other one, the opposite one is
The
the.
um.
I mean, it's when
What is it?
wait.
Not new moon. It's
Now the new moon is the other one,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
very
yeah,
very
yeah. I'm
middle.
trying to think of
So
what
just
the
let me
other
check
one
out,
is.
because I wrote it down. So it's a waning and
Wait.
waxing moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're called a falx, and a falx is a common. You cannot transform in anything. You
Okay.
get you get a more strength than any other human. You get the capability of howling as the other two. You get the capability of having some animal senses as the other two, but you cannot transform. What you
Okay.
can do is basically you are naturally intimidating against Remos. So the descendants of Remos, the evil ones of the game, the antagonists,
Sure.
and you are naturally inspiring to the Romans and the other humans, and so you have more attribute points to put inside your sheets, your character sheet. So you are just better at things, more versatile than other Romuli.
Okay.
Then there's the fourth, which is probably my favorite thus far, and it's the Obscuratum, which is the character born under a new moon.
Okay.
So the other characters, they have all they get all they get it through the influence that Mars reverberates on them through the moon. But
Okay.
the Obscuratum has nothing to do with Mars. He or she receives the reverberance from Hecate, which is a night goddess, a dark goddess of sorcery and death, which kind of allows the Obscuratum character to transform in anything he or she likes. But not a wolf or a werewolf. So that's kind of the
Hmm. Okay.
the curse of the Obscurato. No, he's not a wolf like the other. So he's kind of cursed. Even the other Romuli don't really get along with Obscurato because they are kind of inferior or something. But
Sure.
actually, they have probably more power than any other player in the game because they can become any, they can change form of, human body. They can become like actually an element, so fire, or wind, or air,
Okay. Yeah.
water, which is not a human. How you call it? How is it called? The one from the Fantastic Four in English.
Like Johnny Blaze, like
Yeah. What's the name
Human
of
Torch. Human Torch.
Human Torch? So you're not becoming a Human Torch. You're becoming fire. So if you
Actual
become
physical.
fire, yeah, physical fire. So if you become fire in a barn, you can probably set it on fire and kill all your enemies in the scene. But if you
Okay.
become fire in a swamp, you're probably gonna die, and just so, and you can become any other animal that you want, and any other person that you want, but not a wolf and not a werewolf. And
Okay.
you do not get the extra strength, you do not get the howling, you do not get the animal senses. So you're an outsider of the full classes, but it's still very, very playable and enjoyable.
Yeah. No, I could see how
Yeah.
that would be really beneficial to have in your
Yeah,
group. Have
yeah.
one of those.
He's basically the trickster of
Sure.
the party. Yeah. So you have this. This is just the character creation. Then you have the zodiac and the interpretation involved in the scene. So you have a game master in this game, First Kings. So it's not a masterless game. You have a master present player a scene, and he tells about the events of the story and so on. And when a scene is involving a challenge for the characters, the characters has to describe what they are going to do. And what they are going to do by their description is going to activate some zodiac symbols. And every zodiac symbol is representing an attitude sphere. So, for example, we can take Taurus is representing the strength. So the physical strength of probably jumping, running, or just really the physical strength as anyone may mean it. Just and then there is Leo, sorry, which represent the melee combat, so the physical combat. Every single zodiac sign or zodiac symbol represent an attitude, and the more you're going to involve in your action, the more points you're going to activate. And so there's a difficulty class that you have to achieve. In order to achieve that, maybe let's do an example which is probably easier for me, that I'm not really familiar with some terms that you may be made at. So let's say we are fighting, So
Right.
my character wants to hit the enemy. So the enemy has got a difficulty class of combat of 2, because the GM says that it was 2. And, I'm lucky. And I have my Leo points, my Leo attitude points assigned that are 2. So I just basically have to say I attack him and I activate the Leo symbol, and I just made it,
Okay. Yeah.
But maybe I do not have Leo 2 points in Leo, so I have to get around the thing, and maybe I have some points in Pisces, which is the agility, being quick, so I can describe my action as continuing going around the enemy, and having my mobility so cool, I can describe some jump on through a window, so to do not get involved in getting hit and something like that.
Sure.
And so I can use those 2 points, but I can put together more than one symbol so to get to the difficulty class,
Oh,
because
okay.
maybe I have those 2 points in Leo, but the enemies are 2, so the difficulty class is going to be more than 2. It's going to be 4. So
Right.
how can I defeat all of them? Because basically in the scene, if I reach the difficulty class, I can do whatever I want. I can be like John Wick in the scene, okay?
Sure, sure.
But I have to do it, and of course I have to be coherent in my description. I cannot be just putting all the stuff together just to
It's
just to
gonna make
fight it.
sense. Right,
Yeah,
right,
it's
right.
gotta make sense. But so maybe there are two. So I'm gonna involve, my actual combat style to activate Leo in those 2 points. But I can activate even Cancer, which is the tactical equipment sign symbol,
Okay.
by saying that yes, I'm using my shield to get rid of one of the two opponents, and let him stay away from me while I take off the other one. By activating more symbols, I can get more points and get to the difficulty class. I know
Okay.
I'm probably confusing you right now,
No,
but
no, I get it. Yeah.
because it's not my main language and I'm
No,
getting
no,
some.
it's
Yeah.
I get it. You're pretty much you're creating a narrative scene, and
Yeah,
you're trying to tap into all your attributes to
yeah,
make a success against something, and that
exactly.
totally it totally makes
Okay,
sense to me.
okay, okay. Thank you.
You're getting you're getting across to me. And
Okay,
hopefully to everybody else. I
okay.
think it sounds like the system is very narrative driven.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
want to
totally.
you're really kind of describing what you want to do in a scene, and then pulling you know uh from your attributes, and making this epic action against
Yeah,
what you want to accomplish. Uh,
yeah. We want it to be epic
right.
because those it's dark, it's fantasy, but we want it's mortality is actually a high component of the game.
Hmm.
It's not that difficult to die, but it's even a part of the game because dying, and that probably will come out in the main game if the Kickstarter goes well. Dying is actually part of the growing of the
Oh,
character,
really?
because
Okay.
dying does not mean that you are finishing with that storyline, because there are
Interesting.
so many things involved. You can pass the testimony to one of your sons. You can just refuse to go to hell and come back as a sort of a revenant with a purpose. And as long as your purpose is not, there are a
Hmm.
lot of things
Hmm.
they are cooking up.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's actually
So
really, really cool.
even dying can be something that you choose to do at some point in the game with
Yeah,
an epic scene. You can
sure.
you can be tragic in your
Yeah.
scene if you want. You can be epic, you can be tragic, you can be totally normal, and you can do whatever you want as long as you're describing it the way you want to do it.
Yep.
So that's the point. We wanted to have a game that you are playing so many games. You know that you can role play, really have a narrative scene in whatever game you like.
Right, right.
But sometimes at the end of the day, you can narrate whatever you want, but then you roll the dice and you see what the dice come
Right.
up with. So here instead, you have to try to narrate the scene and developing a scene that activate the things that makes you do what you want to do. And if you're not able to achieve all those attitude points that you need, then the 12 sided dice come in hand.
Okay.
They come to help you. So you have six 12-sided dice that you can roll and actually look for the numbers corresponding to the symbols that you activated during your scene. So let's say that
Ah, okay.
so
I like this. All right.
let's say that you activated Leo, which is number 5 on the list. then there will be on the Kickstarter. There are the character sheet completely downloadable. You can download it from the website.
So you've got this really great setting, you've got these really great mechanics, and then the third thing that I really like, and I know some folks, it's some it is a big deal for some folks, but for some folks it's not. But the art of this book,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
On this project, we have just the main artist. We do not have, it's Daniele Solimene, which is the same artist that made a lot of arts for Shattered Tower.
Right.
So it was our main artist there, and we called him up for this project too. And it's always him, but it's pretty different. It's all we chose the black and white to just give it a horror feel, a darker feel.
Yeah.
And he really is, he's really evocative with his drawings. And right now, I know that there is a video game company that they are kind of looking for him, and they are from Portugal, and so we have to make him work as fast as we can, because it's gonna probably cost so much in a meanwhile. But no, he's very good, and even this one is the only color picture of the game, which it's I don't know if you can see it. These are the Remos, so the descendants of Remus, the twin brother of Romulus, and these are Romuli. So there's a wolf here. I don't know if you can, but on the Kickstarter, all the pictures are well rendered. Me and Andrea, we think that if a role-playing game book is an art piece to begin with, maybe you want to take a look at it because even just the packaging is good.
Right.
It's like everything.
Yeah, it's just like books in general. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but if you have a nice cover, it's gonna probably sell a little bit better than if
this is gonna get some people look at it, more than if it had an ugly cover.
Exactly.
So no, and we also really wanted to give. So what we were talking about at the beginning, one of the most difficult things of this game is getting people to understand that we're not talking about the Imperial Rome, because when you say Rome, of course, we are so TV, video games, and the Hollywood, they all actually present Rome basically all the same in the very same way, the same period. But here in the game, we are playing a period of history that it's not really well treated in the visual history or something like that. And another particular thing of the game that I didn't remember to mention is that you are basically, this period we're talking about is the so-called Royal Age of Rome. So in less than 300 years, there were like 6 kings upon Rome. Okay, so you can choose to play under one of these 6 kings every time. So that's even one of the reasons why dying in the game doesn't really mean that the storyline is going to end, because you can start under Numa Pompilius, which is the second, the first king after Romulus. You cannot play under Romulus because he's the first one, and it's gonna just serve the game as a background and setting stuff. And so you can play under the second king, and having your character living through it and going under the third king, maybe dying. And so his son is going to go on of the fourth king and so on.
I like that.
So obviously under any, of these kings, the social political environment is going to change. There are wars because the game gets dark and fantasy and horror, and there's the Ukraine of the werewolves, but it wants to be historical. So you get all the wars that actually were fought during that period are going to be a part of the game. And you can basically, to run a game, you can go on Wikipedia, look for something cool that happened,
Sure.
and make it start with that. Even the adventure that we're gonna make players play in the starter set, which is called the Red March. We are under the third king, Tullus Hostilius, and we have this war going on between Rome and Alba Longa, which is a real war that took place in that period. And so you have all the adventures start off from the political tensions that the war came up about,
Right.
So
right.
it's history wants to be involved in the
Nice.
game, even though it's a fantasy game.
Right. You're drawing real world stuff into like a alternate timeline. Like if this had happened, this would still go on, but
Exactly.
yeah.
But probably you're gonna have werewolves.
Right.
So
Nice.
it's kind of change a bit of that.
No, I like it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about Kickstarter itself. You're looking to fund the game, which is the core rule book and some other things. You want to talk a little bit about the pledges? I'm assuming that there's a PDF pledge for folks that just want it digitally, but you can go on and explain them a little bit more if you want.
Yeah, we have. There are not a lot of pledges, but there are various, and they're pretty different between each other. And we have the total PDF one, which is the more affordable, and you get the core book and all the stretch goals that we eventually unlock during the campaign in PDF. Nice. Then you have the one with the core book in PDF and print, and all the stretch goal in PDF. And then you have the all physical thing, with the core book and stretch goals in physical, hardcover and PDF as well, of course. And then then we're basically done. But we have we have other two pledges for core book variants. So we have a leatherette cover for the core book, and then a stone skin cover.
Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting.
Yeah, we were at the comic convention, a couple of weeks ago, and there was so many players that they were like, "Oh yeah, leatherette, why don't you make it a stone cover?" So there were so many that we thought that maybe could be eventually interesting to put it out. And sure. We will listen to some folks that do these kind of things and on MacBook basically.
Yeah.
But they can do it on books. And so yeah, we're kind of trying off with this and nice. See what. But the thing is that we have, the stretch goals. We thought about something very interesting, I think.
Okay.
And so we're basically have once we reach the goal, the stretch goal starts, and there are going to be 6 stretch goals, one for each of the 6 kings of the main setting.
Right.
And for every king, we're going to have a guest that's going to ride an adventure under that king, and we're going to have a map of Rome updated to that time, and we're going to have a deepening of the historical and social political stuff that's going on under that king. In the core book, there's a chapter dedicated to each one of the kings.
Sure.
But we're going to deepening that.
It'll just expand upon that.
Exactly. And they're going to be physical, each of them. If you're going to unlock all the 6 of them, it's going to become a book, a core
nice.
book,
okay,
a supplement for So, and there are some awesome guests on there.
Yeah, you want to tell folks who you have lined up for some of these guests?
Oh, so the first three that we have, because the other one are actually hidden and kept secret.
Ah,
We got,
till they get sure.
yeah,
No,
the first one.
that's smart. That's what you got to do with the Kickstarter to get people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We gotta go, little by little.
That's right.
And so we're gonna have for the first one, for Numa Pompilius, we're gonna have Laura Cardinale, which is an Italian girl that she's the vice president, sorry, of a ludic, how you call it, association here in Italy, the
Okay.
Federludo, which is Salotto di Giano, which is, they make people and guys play games for around Italy,
All right.
and she's an historian actually,
Wow.
and she lived in Rome. So she studied in Rome at the La Sapienza di Roma. So she was like the first choice to have on this project.
Absolutely. That's setting the bar pretty high, Max. I mean, that's
yeah
nice.
yeah.
All right.
Then we have a guy on Tullus Hostilius that I don't know. You may want to introduce him on here.
On the second one.
On the second one, yeah.
Who would that be? I don't know.
It's gonna be called Douglas or something like that.
Douglas Shoot?
Yeah.
Oh,
like that.
yes. That means that I get to write that one.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just kind of playing coy at that point. But yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you so much for selecting me for your second stretch goal. I'm really excited to dive into the setting and kind of expand upon the second king there that you've given me and I've got a lot of homework to do and I'm really excited. I think
well, you got plenty of time to work.
Yeah, we can set something up pretty well. I'm first of all, I'm really honored. Thank you so much. And
we are honored that you accepted the thing in the first place. We thought of you because it's true that the last time that we had a chat like this was almost a year ago, but in reality we kept on chatting on Facebook and
absolutely
something like that for the whole year, and you've been giving us so many advices for Shattered Tower and for printing and delivering and what we're gonna do here and that. And then you were one of the first people that we talked about First Kings.
Again, thank you so much for letting me be a part of
No, thank you very much. Then the last one that we announced is for the third king. I mean the fourth king, but the third stretch goal is Mauro Longo, who is he is a writer, an archaeologist, and he wrote tons of things for Lex Arcana, for Ultima Forsen. He's one of the author for Strange Magic, and other. He also write playbooks, and he's got a pretty well followed blog here in Italy. Wow. So, and he's a friend. So there's
Wow, I feel so like inadequate, Max. You've got this historian and this archaeologist, and then you get this guy that does YouTube videos.
But YouTubers nowadays are more important than any other thing.
That's awesome. It sounds like you've got at least two folks that have a wealth of information behind them, and I'm really excited to see what they add to the setting. It's just this setting is really, really cool, and I'm so excited.
We are excited too, and we can't wait to see how the Kickstarter goes.
Yeah, if more folks want to know more about Epic Party Games, where should they go? Where should they find you online? Where should they where can they find more information about Epic Party?
Okay, so the easiest thing they can do is go on www.epicpartygames.com, and they can find our website where they can find info on the publishing company, info on the games, and then they can go on Facebook and look for Epic Party Games.
you have checked out First Kings on Kickstarter and Epic Party Games, I want you to hit that like button down below and let me know that you've done that, and it kind of helps get Epic Party Games a little more noticed here on YouTube as well. And
Yeah.
then if you have backed the Kickstarter, please put a comment down below and let us know that you backed it and what you're really excited about for First Kings. Like I'm just I think it's such a great take on this setting, and I'm really excited about the mechanics, and I think you've got a great meld of pretty much everything with his RPGs. All right, folks, that's gonna do it for us today. I want to thank Max for coming on and chatting with me for a little while. This has been Victory Condition Gaming, because winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. We'll see you next time.